While being still on the stage, I would like to pass the floor to Mr. Mamadou-Abou Sarr. He is one of our graduates. He's an alumnus of ESCP Europe. He graduated from the Master in International Project Management. He is one of the high flyers. This is the real example of what you can also become very soon. He has had a stellar career. He's working at Northern Trust Asset Management. He has in his CV companies like HSBC, Morgan Stanley, Amundi Alternative Investments, Citigroup. He is a stellar example of what we would like also to see from you. He has been named from the Financial Times the top 40 under 40 rising stars in asset management in 2014. So I would like to have a word from Mamadou, who I can tell you he has joined us from Abu Dhabi, where he is based, but he's also a very global and international personality that he's traveling all the time. And with no further ado, I will give the floor to Mamadou-Abou Sarr.
Good morning to you all, dear professors. Good morning to the graduates, to the parents. It's a special day for you, and I'm glad I'm sitting on the other side of the room today than I was 10 years ago. And on my way to the ceremony this morning, I was trying to remember who were the keynote speakers at my ceremony, and I failed. And I feel that if 10 years' time you don't remember me, I won't take it personal because I know it's a long way. But I still remember, though, the excitement I had and the sense of pride of graduating for such a school and be able to have a top quality education. And I remember on the day that my dad wanted to attend the ceremony, but he could not. My dad is a professor of molecular genetics in Paris 11, and he was teaching on the day I was graduating. And the commitment he has for students is similar to the commitment that the professors of ESCP have to basically teach you what I call just the ingredients to be successful. A couple of years down the line, I've asked him, so why you wanted to come to my ceremony? And he confessed two main reasons. The first one was to make sure that I actually attended the school for a year, and I was not hanging out in the street of Paris and getting in trouble. The second part was basically he signed a loan for me to study at ESCP, so he wanted to make sure that I won't default on the loan and be able to reimburse him with the interest rate in a timely manner. At that time, interest rates were actually quite high. But then what I think is that education is a sense of giving you what it takes basically to start a career and get into an industry you are passionate about. 10 years ago, I was sitting, as I said, in the campus of Paris studying international project management. If you were to ask me prior to attending the SCP what was my dream, I would say it was totally different. I grew up in a town callles Les Ulis in France, where we're known for producing top quality footballers. Thierry Henry, Patrice Evra, and Anthony Martial. And at the time when I grew up, my dream was actually to be a professional athlete. I had the same haircut than Carl Lewis. You could see that with the stress, I have a different haircut today. But my drive was basically to become a professional athlete. I failed, as you can notice. And I've decided then to move into the industry with always the sense that I wanted to work more in the economic development field. A dream job would have been working for the World Bank initially and trying to save the world and coming with big ideas. But my first job was actually the opposite. I was a trader on the FX side working for Citi. So you could tell that basically between what you have as a child dreams and what you become, you may have basically a gap. But I think the gap is like a 360. I think the three attributes, you mentioned 4 attributes of success. I like to call it the PhD skills. P for stand for passion. You have to be passionate about what you are doing. And the D stands for dedication. And the H in the middle is the most important part is humility. Because you could be as qualified as you want, but then there is other forces in the market, such as what you are experiencing today. I've looked at the profile of the entire class, and I was impressed by the number of nationalities and the background. I didn't check all your grades. I'll do it before the dinner tonight, so I can basically pick on all of you. But then out of all the masters, you decided to study energy management in 2005. What a timing, I will say. Obviously, energy prices are very volatile. The market is different. And I think we're at a turning point of basically seeing a new paradigm in the way we do business. I'm the global head of ESG. ESG stands for Environmental, Social, and Governance Investing at Northern Trust. Northern Trust is a 125 years old asset manager. We manage around $800 billion, and I'm responsible for a subset around $60 billion of assets. But when you think about what ESG means, and I'm often been asked, why did you decide to go into that field? I call it more common sense investment. From my perspective, the way companies operate today, it has to take into account externalities, negative externalities. You need to take into account the social impact, but also the governance. You can think about examples such as Enron, News Corp, and lately Volkswagen. On the way here, I was looking at the news, and they will be cutting 3,000 jobs by 2017. And it was basically an environmental issue linked to a governance issue. So from my perspective, ESG investing is common sense investing. And when you think about the energy field, the way the industry is basically shifting, and with a low oil price and other alternatives that are very much necessary in the market, you will be fully equipped to become the leaders of tomorrow, but with a different perspective on what it means basically to change an industry. And I think I'm probably in the same spot that you are today. You are entering a market where high volatility, a lot of uncertainty. And on my side, 2005 was still the 80s, but then I was working in a quant shop back in 2008 in the midst of the crisis. I jumped from working for HSBC from Morgan Stanley to HSBC. And I remember September 2008, walking to the office and hearing the Lehman Brothers collapse, and without figuring out how it will impact my day-to-day job. Well, I was just glad to still have a job a couple of months after the collapse, because the way investors were operating, the type of requests we were getting was definitely different. It was all about crisis management more than basically trying to move your career up and trying to achieve great things. Market tend to repeat itself, but then you also have a chance to make a huge difference in your own career and respecting field. The other important part of basically being part of the graduate and the ESCP network is that you are in touch with 45,000 alumni network around the world. It's a big network, and Professor Costas and I were actually in Abu Dhabi. This is where we met a couple of weeks ago, and he was mentioning the number of alumni that are based in the UAE that I was not even aware of. With the new technologies, we live in a world of the LinkedIn, the Instagram, the Flickr, the Twitter. Make sure you connect with all the alumni and you basically reach out to the network. But I will say that if you think about my friends that are today, they all actually come from the ESCP family. I've attended so many weddings, anniversaries, stag do's around the world, and most of them are actually alumni and friends that I met at the school. We didn't come from the same background, the same cities, not the same nationalities, but what brought us together was a sense of pride of becoming and belonging to the same community and having the same values. So I think in 10 years' time, you're likely to be invited to a lot of birthdays, and the hardest part is trying to remember all the children's names of your colleagues. But thanks to Facebook now, you're in a better spot. So if I were to leave you with one final comment, it will be think as a leader, act as a leader, but accept to be led. And I think it's very important that you think about leadership and what it means to accept as well the chain of command and learn from other people. So today is your special day. Make sure you enjoy it to the fullest, and thank your parents if they've taken a loan for you. Make sure you invest some time, and enjoy the day, and congratulations again.